Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about what kind of solutions we have done and how we are developing the situational awareness at Helsinki Airport, and what kind of results we have gained, and what does it mean for us to develop the transparency of the data, and how we can support by developing the data intelligence, we can support the daily operations so that it affects to the positive passenger satisfaction and more productivity on the operations side.
All right, nice to be here. Nice to see there are so many of you in the audience as well. How many of you know actually what Finavia is? We just heard a little bit of intro on that, but please raise the hand. Yeah, there are some. How many of you know Finnair, the airline carrier? Nice. Yeah, we have 21 airports in Finland. We are completely state-owned, but we operate on the profits generated by the business, not by tax fund. And that's very important for me, at least. And in a nutshell, the airport operator is responsible of creating the infrastructure and the physical one. And then I feel that we also need to create the digital infrastructure these days to make everybody succeed. So basically, it's a very complex site of operation for all the airlines, ground handlers, security service providers, facility maintenance, apron maintenance, and whoever. There are like 15,000 people working at Helsinki Airport. They have ID cards, and simultaneously, maybe 1,000 of those people are in the same shift trying to make the airport operate as efficiently as possible. And in order to succeed in that goal, we need some kind of coherent single source of truth situational awareness. We have been actively developing our situational awareness capabilities, I don't know, over a decade, a lot longer than I have been working with this topic. And it started probably with people calling each other from various offices and updating what's going on and what's the situation at this moment. And I believe like only few years ago, we had kind of daily meetings around noon where all the stakeholders gathered in the same meeting room. They brought all the information they had, and then they made decision regarding the afternoon transfer peak hour for Helsinki Airport. And once they left the meeting room, I think the situation had completely changed because everything happened while they were sitting in the meeting room. Some planes are late, some might come early, maybe there is disruption somewhere, you cannot use some facilities or capacity we have planned to use that afternoon. And now we are finally managed to pull out with Siili this situational awareness tool where we can immediately share the situational awareness for everyone who will need that to make the accurate decision making. And obviously the next steps are to give more predictions and more automatization to the decision-making processes. Of course, we aim all the time for the excellent customer satisfaction and the operational efficiency, which means that we can utilize the capacity to the maximum and also produce even more with the same capacity as we have. And for that purpose, we need the kind of understanding what's going on, and if something is delayed, then everybody else needs to know that we need to be on time, and it does not make sense to optimize your own process and whatever you are doing, because in the same time you will impact your neighbors, and then later on their possible problems in the operation will also impact your operation. So everybody needs to work together. That's why there are like multiple targets. We want to hit the transparency, the community, be prepared how to tackle the upcoming problems. And then, of course, because we are not nowadays sitting in the office and doing the job, people are standing in the apron, in the snow, in the wind. They need to know what's going on, so we need also the mobility of that platform. Just one simplified image of the context before we release Jarkko to tell about the actual substance we're speaking about here. This is one way of showing like what's the point of view to the situational awareness. We have the overall view of the airport, then we have individual processes, It might be security, unloading the plane. It might be the passenger process, people boarding, coming off. It might be that whoever is planning the parking and so forth. And then within those processes, there are like individuals or like single stakeholders who then make decisions based on the information they have available. So you also need to accommodate all the needs of these different stakeholders and different points of view, how to work forward. All right, to you, Jarkko.
All right. In this picture, you can see what are the key elements what we have been trying to develop. So we want to emphasize the real-time situation so that everyone at the airport would see what's happening live. We started from the different kind of events like disruptions, what are going on at the airport on a certain time. And the first thing what we did was to provide the tools for people and also automate the certain events to be created based on the data. And we concentrated on distributing that information for the whole community. The second thing after that, on a timeline, we concentrated on creating the certain status indicators of the key processes, and we have added those one by one. It needs data to work, and it's not always available. So we try to develop it so that we have the data roadmap, and then we clarify the needs, and then we put together and release something new all the time. The key performance indicators is something because everyone has own systems. They track the things from their own perspective, but not maybe from the whole thing. It's on-time performance is one of the key figures. There's also something else. But then how to operate more efficiently, you will need to have the information about the underlying things, what's happening. And so creating the picture and the sharing the picture has been the first point. I'll introduce a few concepts what we have used in practice. For the operational status and KPIs, we have introduced the custom-made data visualization, which shows the current data as it is. It utilizes the certain alerts, certain severities of things, and for example, for the end user can prioritize the dashboards based on the things which needs more attention than the whole picture. And as we need to understand also how the situation has evolved, we have a short history here, but we are mainly concentrating on ongoing and the predicted things, so that we can introduce more assets for being ready to face the situations. That's example of just from the basic flight data. We have the more enriched data, of course, to support the daily operations more than end users or passengers see, to be able to see that how, for example, each flight operation turnaround is going on and what are the estimated times. Of course, the single point is not enough for the main use, as you can imagine that on the afternoon peak hours, there's more than 70 operations happening in an hour. But the job is still done on the single level, and everything needs to be changed so that 72 or 75 operations can happen on time. What we have learned here is that the approach what we have chosen is that we tried to expose the data and make it available for all users. For example, back arrivals, like back delivery times and things like that. We have learned that we need to explain also to the users what that data is and what does it mean. Of course, simple things are simple, but not simple for people who have not used that information so much. What we learned from the year 2018 was that we distributed and created something like 1,800 different events. Some were just information shared, some were more like disruptions, and of course there's always some emergency situations as well. And that's a lot of information. It was something like more than 500,000 messages sent, and all the push notifications and things like that on top of that. So this year we have introduced that like a subscription-based thing that users can subscribe to the real-time streams of the categories or interests they have. And the emphasis is all the time on getting more predictions of things. The simple things are the changes in the flight operations, weather forecasts, and things like that. But then, for example, predicting the waiting times and things like that help to shift the capacity, move the personnel to the different operation points and so on. Capacity, it's probably the hardest thing in this game because it requires multiple stakeholders to work together. And there's so many factors which are affecting to the capacity. One is, for example, that are the arriving planes or aircrafts on time? What are the conditions at the airport, like weather conditions? Is wind affecting to the runway? Is there capacity reductions in the airspace? Is there something going on with the runways, for example? So I have one example of that I will share about those predictions. Of course, we need to provide the different tools for different occasions, like monitoring rooms and so on, in addition to the mobile. And then we have the possibilities to look at different data points. Maybe this will give something. This is just a simple thing about the passenger capacity forecast, like people who are visiting the airport, either transferring or departing from Helsinki or arriving to the Helsinki. And we have, or Finavia has put a lot of effort on collecting the data and building the data warehouse so that we have a quite good assets of historic data, like the passenger volumes, all operations, of course, all delay events, and so on. And that has been a very good choice, which enables us to build something on top of it. To figure out what we are going to build is an interesting part. My background is in design. There's lots of talks on the market going on about how you can utilize the design thinking for improving the data possibilities and so on. The key thing is that we just need to understand that the real needs. And how you do it, it doesn't really matter, but you need to be eager to figure it out, how the decision making works now. Maybe the low-hanging fruit is to fine-tune the process a bit instead of going on the full database predictions and automated systems in the first place.
Yeah, to add on that, the one thing is we spoke already that you have so many different players acting on the final outcome. So as Jarkko said, that the data have to be very understandable to whoever is watching it. So in a sense, the AOS is delivering us this situational awareness tool, very understandable way of grasping the data and then hopefully making the correct decisions. So the design part is very important. And the AI cannot do anything before we first get the operation, understand what's going on and what are the figures and how they should feel about those.
Yeah, there was a discussion in the morning keynotes about the level 1, level 2, or system 1 or system 2 level kind of things. Our main efforts currently fit somewhere between. So we are doing things which help the tactical work so that people on the shift can do a better job. Of course, on the other hand, we are putting some effort on doing some analysis and understanding the situations and researching the data and doing some proof of concepts for the bigger things which are not, or where we are not ready yet. One, for example, is that on the facility cleaning side, we can give some guidance to the actual cleaners. There's 80 cleaners around working in one shift, trying to clean 4,000 different rooms at the airport, and we are using the passenger volumes, which we can read from the, for example, room visitor trackers and things like that, and then we can adapt the traffic changes and give the suggestions when it's a good time to go and clean a toilet and so on. So very like a concrete stuff. On a tech side, we did a choice to go for like an event-driven approach so that we can handle the both streams and also the like REST API kind of integrations and so that we can aggregate and combine different information somewhere in the system. We chose the Google Cloud because it was the first platform to give us full Kubernetes support and provide some help for keeping all interfaces and data up to date all the time. The architecture looks something like that, so that we have in the middle one, let's say, a bit more centralized asset built with the different services so that we can have the rule-based things there, we can interpret the data and then do some decisions out of that and give the output to the notifications or as notifications or update the charts or whatever on that side. I'll jump a few slides. The learnings, what we have learned and how to, or what has been the natural approach for us has been that we have concentrated on finding the real challenges, not only doing a proof of concepts which try to give confidence is this like viable on a technological side, and we have used a lot of time to understand the actual needs on different units, on different stakeholders side. And the data ownership is something which is crucial. There's also other partners like Jarno was from the Forekind team, Reactor teams. We all try to understand what we are dealing with in the context and to be able to give the full support for the platform development.
Yeah, it's kind of on the data ownership side, you need to make kind of deals with the airlines, the ground handlers, and whoever, because they have some data, we have some data, then we need to put it together to make the better like joint effort to be on time and give the best customer experience and increase the capacity without building new airports all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why we need partners like Siili and Fourkind and Reactor who have been doing different kinds of optimization tools for us as well. And then we have the AOS to deliver the situation, and then we hopefully make better decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you.